This is the actual gun I carried when I was a substitute. Hasta la vista, baby. This is the best tequila I've ever drank out of a toilet. So I'll tell you, not just my favorite, but the best toy there is. All right, class, get out your worksheets or whatever. Turn to page 67, I think, is what you're supposed to be on. Don't ask me for any passes or any... I'm busy over here. Get in the thing. I hate it when your koozies are too tight. It's a virgin koozie, you know. All right, substitute teaching. There's a lot of training, which is that you just had to have 90 credit hours of college in anything. Doesn't matter, nothing. I hadn't taken a single education course ever. Not one like video on what to do with the kids. Nothing like that. We had to watch one videotape, which was about mandated reporting. It was like a 30-minute VHS tape. And this one lady realized that they, like, the proctor or whatever left. And she's like, oh, all right. So she just left. She didn't even watch it. It's like, oh, okay. Or do I have to sit here? If you've had some college, you can just walk into an elementary school tomorrow, even with this mustache. It's kind of shocking they call it substitute and not sus-tutute. Kids love to tell you who you look like, so if you want to be told that you look like someone you vaguely resemble a lot, subbing could be the job for you. I was told repeatedly that I looked like Spider-Man, and I was like, Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield? And they're like, you know, Spider-Man. I was like, the new one? They're like, yeah. I was like, fucking Andrew Garfield. All right, baby. These children think I'm really sexy. That's... I look like Andrew Garfield? Is it just this? The hair a little bit up. I don't know. One day I was a high school Spanish teacher. Teachers notoriously have like fucking messy as fuck desks, so you never find anything. And they're like, oh, use this folder. And you're like, where the fuck is this supposed to be? Like, good lord. You're like under the gun. And I noticed, not like in a drawer, just like up on top, there's like a folder of like medical documents. And I was like, I got 7 hours to kill. If you're crazy if you think I'm not gonna like at least glance through this folder of medical shit. Anyway, I discovered she was applying for bariatric surgery, you know, like lap band or whatever, like stomach something weight loss surgery. But also she was 5'10" and 175 pounds. I was like, bitch, no reputable doctor is giving you bariatric surgery so you can lose like 12 pounds. Like, you're barely even overweight. And so I looked closer, and it turns out the clinic was in Mexico. I was like, oh, okay, that's who might do it. And so then I kind of looked closer, and I discovered that her plan was fly to Mexico on a Thursday, surgery on Friday, fly home on a Monday, be back at work on Tuesday. Imagine sitting next to her on that flight, you know, someone who's just had major gastrointestinal surgery like 2 days ago. Like, I hope she doesn't get dumping syndrome. That's exactly what you think it is. Hasta la vista, baby. And that's when I realized that it was a Thursday, Friday assignment I had. I was like, oh, this is happening right now. Monday's a holiday. She's flying. Tuesday, she gets back and gets my notes. Oh, man. Should I mention the surgery? I don't think so. It really paints a picture of a character. You know, you can imagine this character, a woman in her mid-30s, just slightly overweight, just majored in Spanish. She expected an adventurous life, but she's stuck in Missouri teaching these little fucking shits. I'll fly to Mexico. I'll go on an adventure where I get to poop my pants on an airplane. You know, that's a metaphor for something. I'm not quite sure what. What am I, an English professor? I'm just a pretend Spanish teacher, you know, say la vie. I never met her, but I feel like I know her, don't you? You know? That's the job, sitting in a classroom with 7 hours to kill and using your imagination and maybe drinking tequila out of a toilet. So what grade level should you sub for? All right. Middle schooler? No, they're a psychopath. Starting to realize that they can be manipulative assholes and they can gossip and be jerks to people. And it's like all these things like, oh, I didn't have this button before and I've got a new button. And I also don't have the brain parts to know like when to press the button. That's a button. I'm gonna press that button all the time. Elementary school is more like playing with puppies, you know? Like they might chew on a lamp cord or something, but it's like, just redirect them and that's fine. It can be pretty fun, but it's a little chaotic. And you're not going in there keeping strict order or anything. But it's kind of like playing with puppies all day. It can be. High school is like the opposite. Very hands-off. You're not going to chew on a lamp cord. If you want to be hands-off, you can go read a book for a while. High school. Personally, my parenting style I'm a very hands-off parent. I like to cut their hands off, you know? It's a lot easier to raise kids that way. So elementary school kids are kind of like puppies. High schoolers are kind of like adults you can reason with. But middle schoolers are little hormonal sociopaths from the seventh circle of hell. Can't be bargained with, they can't be reasoned with, they don't feel pity or remorse or fear, and they absolutely will not stop until you are dead. Anyway, this is the actual gun I carried when I was a substitute. If you've ever seen The Substitute, it's a pretty good film. There's a quadrilogy of Substitute films. I don't know if you knew that.
No talking in the library. About time you boys started hitting the books. Oh, here's one, required reading, Catcher in the Rye.
I was fired from a subbing job. Why? Not for bringing tequila to school, which I did. They did it because I brought a laptop. Because, you know, you can just bring in a book. You can read a book like Night Bitch all day. No one gives a shit. You can just be on your phone. No, like, that's a lot of subs on their phones all day. But you bring in a laptop, that's an automatic firing. I was told on the phone, like, yep, you had a laptop. I'm like, well, I was just doing homework. I was a college student at the time. And they're like, well, we can't have teachers doing homework. That's too confusing for our fat children. So this is I was fired. I've been fired a number of times, actually. Have I? Oh yeah, I was fired. I was a tutor for these varsity tutors. I was fired from there because I was trying to do ACT test prep tutoring for these rich blonde girls who are not real bright, trying to get into very, very big schools like USC. And I was like, yeah, but your ACT score is a 17. The big thing was, I was told on the phone, and they didn't like this, was that I wouldn't let this girl use her calculator because here's what she would do. We're doing these math problems, and they're like word problems or, you know, complicated. They're like, you're selling t-shirts for $14. They cost you $12 to buy. But if you need your profit margin to be 35%, what should you charge? And it's like, okay, you've got to do like, what are they actually asking? And then I'll multiply it. And she would just start entering numbers in her calculator with no thought to it. Just like, $14 divided by $12. What is that? This percent. Oh, that's A. All right, A. Oh, there's numbers. I'll plug them in my calculator. And I'd be like, why are you plugging those in? Just tell me what you're thinking. And she would just like, add random things, divide random things. Oh, that's D. All right, D. Let's set the calculator aside. And how about you tell me what to enter and why? Like, so you read through the problem, think it through for about 8 more seconds. And then I got a call. It was like, they were upset that you wouldn't let her use a calculator when they're allowed to use a calculator. I was like, yeah, I was doing what's called basic teaching of like, hey, think more than a second. And like the calculator is dumb. It doesn't know.
There's some things that just can't be taught.
So, blonde girl, I'm going to go ahead and guess she did not get to go to USC unless her parents were extremely rich. I don't know. They weren't paying me that much, so.
Yo, Freddy Krueger, knock it off. It's not a manicure shop.
In the comments, how good of a substitute was I? Really good? Yeah, I was really good at it. I've solicited questions to my subscribers. Morose Papaya. Are you a McLaren fan? I like Max, even though he's a dick. He's my dick. I like Toto. Toto Wolf's great. He's like if Arnold Schwarzenegger were a nerd. Morose Papaya asks, many kids think there are no repercussions when it comes to messing with subs. Do you have any ways of giving it back, given you wouldn't see them again? There are ways of, herpes is forever.
You had to be resourceful in Vietnam.
I don't know. You give notes to the teacher. You leave notes on who is good and who is bad. The tough part is knowing who's fucking who. Some schools you just have a list, like right? Like I don't know which name goes with who, based on what? Who said here when I was like, Ron?
Michael Davis.
Hey, yo, y'all see Michael, man? Oh, that's right. He in the hallway rubbing on your mom's booty, man.
Some schools would have pictures, and that's very helpful. Internet Fox asked, how do you get kids to do the thing? Having been a student in many dysfunctional classes, the mere thought of being the one at the front of the class makes me want to write 2 weeks notice, and it's not even my job. The key is to not care that much, you know? It's like, I'm not here to like actually teach. I'm here to make sure no one gets like stabbed. That's my main goal. Really, the scariest thing about subbing is when it's like, oh, we're doing a fire drill and no one tells you. And because it's like, all right, theoretically, if there were like a fire, you get your class, you get out of the building, and you're supposed to get your class organized and then like take attendance of this new batch of kids. If a firefighter comes to you and is like, do you have all of your students accounted for? You need to be able to tell them, probably. I don't. They're like, do we need to send people into a fire to rescue someone? Yes or no? And I'd be like, I don't think so. Never had a real fire, but I did many times do like fire drills, and often they would not tell you what's happening. And it's like, I'm sure it was in some meeting or an email. No one bothered to tell me in a chaotic situation, getting all the kids and lining them up, and I don't know any of their fucking names and trying to take attendance when it's like goddamn chaos. Whenever that would happen, basically I would just find like a nearby teacher and they would do it for me. And I'm like, all right. So how do I get them to like do stuff? I don't.
You done messed up, Aaron. Now take your ass on down to Oshag Hennessy's office.
Gab Malaganon personal. Gab Malagon. Asked how? You apply and then you pass a background check and then you just show up and they give you kids. Question 1, whose gloved hand is that? I asked. That is my wife's gloved hand. JFat4 asks, what's the difference between a sub and a bottom and how do I prepare for each role? Well, okay, so number 1, you need to clean your toilet, metaphorically. You gotta make sure it's all cleaned out. If you wanna know what it's like to be a sub, a true sub, I would say in flavor form, a true sub, it tastes like this. If you can get some Basque, oh, that's tight. Here, I'm gonna put it in my Andy Reid holding 2 corn dogs shot glass. This is Fancy Malort. Yeah.
You're shitting me.
Fancy Malort. That's good shit, man. Yeah, it's bitter, but fucking like that's like herbal. That ain't nothing like Malort. Heligoland? Are you from Heligoland? Heligoland?
Okay, let's get back to Vietnam. Anybody happen to know where it is?
It's in Korea, right?
It's a small island, 2 islands in the North Sea by the Heligoland. You know, it's basically a rock posing as a battleship. Heliger asks, what's your best and worst experience with psychedelics? I don't really have any bad experiences with psychedelics, to be honest. I've never been on psychedelics in a classroom that I can remember. Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
That's right, Jeff.
In my experience, mushrooms are a lot like being a little kid again. Everything's just kind of it's silly and fun. Like, that's great. Alcohol makes you alcohol makes you an aggressive asshole. Mushrooms make you like a fun-loving child. It's one of these is very illegal and one not so much. Dextro whatever, who is Keanu Reeves, asks, what was your favorite part about subbing compared to doming? By which, of course, I mean professing. So professing was like a real job, whereas actually teaching things. But subbing is mostly like classroom management, babysitting, make sure no one murders each other. You're there all day. It's a lot of time, a lot of interaction. Professing is a lot of planning. It's not very in person. So I guess like the best part of subbing is just like getting to interact with people who maybe expect you to be a jerk, and if you're not a jerk, it's like could be kind of fun. Like it's kind of fun to there are bad days, don't get me wrong. Subbing, there are a lot of bad days. There are, like, kids are obnoxious. They're like 10% of kids who are bad, who, like, ruin everything. This is true in being a professor or being a sub. And the kids are having a good day, and they're having fun. You know, just, like, hang out and be chill with them, and, like, I don't know. It can be pretty fun, and you can connect with them. And elementary gym is great. You're just like, let's play dodgeball. I don't know, this is great. I think marijuana should be mandatory for elementary school teaching. Okay. Well, you're being a professor is mostly about like very much like on task, getting shit done. Then they leave, and you don't see them for 7 hours a day. And then subbing is like the exact opposite. We're not getting any shit done, and we're just like kind of hanging out. Heliger asks, rank your favorite sex toys. I'll tell you, not just my favorite, but the best sex toy there is. It's the human imagination. You ever put your penis in one of those? At Ronald Reagan 007 asks, how is your sex life?
Chicanerous and deplorable.
Oh, hi, Mark. That's my response. At Rowie Boat asks, how many people mention the stash? Okay, well, basically, I was only a substitute teacher for like a semester with this thing, so I was allowed in elementary schools. In the comments, more questions for next time I make one of these subbing videos. A lot of shitters. Oh, a lot of teachers have really shitty attitudes where it's like, I mean, this is true of a lot of people. It means people who they're like a main character and everyone else in the world, coworkers, people in traffic, employees somewhere, everyone they interact with is an NPC who's like a total moron, is an idiot. I'm super smart and responsible. Everybody else is an irresponsible moron. All their stories, they're like the only smart person in the room, you know?
That's right, Jeff.
Oh, all substitute teachers are druggies and morons attitude. They can't follow instructions. And it's like, no, it's because your fucking classroom is full of psychopaths. Okay, one, substitute teachers, a lot of them are not trained teachers. You don't have to have an education degree. I started subbing without having taken an education course. Not one. No training. Two, it's a job with a high turnover rate. Like there's a lot of people who come in, try it, it sucks, they move on to another job. So there's a lot of new people all the time. All right. And three, it's hard, okay? Classroom teachers, you guys have it a lot easier than subs do. I don't know how teachers don't realize this. I feel like most do. It's like, let's put in a two-way mirror. Let's have a teacher leave, go and monitor their class and see what happens 40 seconds after they leave and the kids are like, oh, we have a sub today? It becomes the purge. They're like, oh, there are no consequences anymore. Our teacher's gone. I don't know who this guy is. He won't be here tomorrow. I can do whatever I want. And they start stabbing each other just for fun. They just like black out and do insane things. Teachers would be appalled if they could watch what their students are doing when they're not there. And it's not because of the sub's fault. It's because like their brains break. What you got? Give me that. Teachers have messy AF desks. You can never fucking find anything in their desks. It's like a hoarding situation. There's like roaches in there. They got snacks that are rotting. 400 folders. It's like, what? And they're like, here, get this folder and find these worksheets. And they're like, where the fuck is this? It's gonna take me 30 minutes to find it. Teachers often leave really poor instructions because of what psychologists call mind blindness and economists call the curse of knowledge. And Steven Pinker says it's the source of bad writing in his essay, The Source of Bad Writing. In the textbook experiment, a child comes into the lab, opens a box of M&Ms, and is surprised to find pencils in it. But then, if another child shows up, he thinks that this new child will know that that box of M&Ms contains pencils, because now that he knows it, he thinks everyone else knows it. If I were to put a new concept in front of you, and you'd say, oh, it'll take me X amount of time to learn this, and then after you learn it, we ask you to guess how long will it take a new person to learn it, they'll give some fraction of X, because once they understand it, oh, it's super easy to understand. Why would it take any amount of time to understand it, even if it took them an hour to figure it out? Well, now they know it, so they think, oh, it'll only take 20 minutes. It's really simple. So if you spend 7 hours a day, every fucking day in this room, and you know where all the things are, and then you leave an instruction that's like, get the workbooks out of the arts cabinet. And I'm like, all right, which one's the arts cabinet? What do we mean by cabinet? There's like drawer things, there's built-in cabinets, is this like a filing cabinet? What do you mean by workbooks? What do you picture when I say a workbook? Is it like spiral bound? Like, what are we talking? Is this just a folder with papers in it? Like, what are we talking about? What is this? If I find it, will it say workbook? I remember one time, it took me forever to find something a teacher wanted me to use because she said it was in this drawer. And I looked fucking everywhere. There's 3 desks in there. I'm looking at every drawer I can find, not in any of them. What she meant was, you know, there's things you can like hang on the back of a door and like it has like pockets. It was one of those. I was like, that's not a drawer. What are you talking about? What are those called? Things hanging off of a door? What is that? I mean, women's pants don't have pockets, but their doors do. But that made sense to her. So just think about the things like, what do you call something? We have dog beds all over the place, and we have like names for them. Like one's the tuffet and one's the igloo. And neither of them are like, it's not an igloo, but that's what we call it. The film, The Substitute with Tom Berenger, it's a really accurate film. I think a lot of these scenes I really identify with. For example, here's a scene. This is super realistic. Look at this scene. Man, that really brings back memories of things I did in the school. So there's scenes where he's like disarming 5 dudes with guns. And then he'll 2 seconds later be like, all right, kid, I need to deputize you to be my substitute. Can you handle the responsibility, teenage boy? Because I need you to watch the class because I'm going to go try to murder some people. And it's like, it's hard to care both about murdering people, but also like, well, let's still be teaching.
You're late, Juan. That'll be 1 demerit.
I'm gonna do it. I'm sorry 10 times on the blackboard.
You're gonna write it 100 times. And oh boy, here comes a tough one. Who discovered America?
Fat mama.
She my fair share. None of that goddamn ninja horse shit.
No talking in the library.
Also, the librarian really wants to fuck Tom Berenger.
He's toast. Kill this bitch and split.
I'm sorry about those windows.
Hey, fuck it.
Early in the film, out-of-work mercenary Tom Berenger goes to get like a job with this rich asshole, but then he's like, I don't do like drugs. When he gets there, there's another like mercenary guy who's like also like interviewing for the job, and he has a reel. He has like a taped commercial. It felt like something out of like RoboCop. It was hilarious. And then the guy who's hiring mercenaries, the weenie with coke money, he poops his pants. That's a scene.
When the world is giving you trouble, think John Janus. Soldier of Fortune magazine calls him the ultimate mercenary. And from Tripoli to Panama, he's proven it. Piano wire, knives, artillery, landmines. So when you want clean, private mercenary work at reasonable rates, think John Janus.
Oh, God, that's better. I've been holding that for 20 minutes waiting for her to leave.
Thank you for sharing.
10 grams of fiber every morning. Flushes all the toxins right out of your system. It's great. But I don't want any substitute.
The difference is, you're still breathing.
Hey, that cereal really does work.
He's the guy I told you about at Wilson's place. Oh, the guy that made you shit in your pants.
You're shitting me.
Great editing, too. Who was the editor?
Get that squirrel. It's like on top of a roof. She's gonna get it. I remember one story I heard from a teacher who was upset that subs were bad. All right, this teacher's telling the story. She left a spelling quiz. Put yourself in the shoes of sub. The spelling quiz has 12 words, right? But the answer sheets that she had to pass out to the kids are only numbered to 10. Should I just do the first 10 words? Should I pick 10 of the 12? Is it you pick 10 of the 12 at random? Maybe you don't use all of them? Is it just have them do all 10 and then do number 11 and 12 like on the back and write it themselves? Yeah, any of those would be appropriate. And I would tell any teacher is like, if you left for a sub, like take a quiz and then like collect the papers. And at the end of the day, you got papers of like a quiz they did. I don't care if the instructions weren't followed exactly to the detail. The room's not on fire. Okay, that's the level you should be expecting. So this teacher is like, oh, this sub is an idiot. Don't send me the sub again. They did it wrong. So which of those options was the right one? Maybe write in the comments. What would you have done? So nowadays, teachers will leave a note that just says, assignment is online. So then the kids walk in and they're like, what are we doing? The sub says, your homework is online. And they're like, which thing? I'm like, I don't know. Where? What folder is it in? I don't know. Teacher said work is online. And then they try to do it and realize, oh, the teacher didn't activate it. They can't open it. Leave instructions that are more than assignment is online. What are you doing? Use 3 more words. I haven't subbed in a decade now, but when I did, I didn't have a login. I couldn't like look in any Google Classroom, Moodle, Blackboard, any of that. But things I did run into would be like, here, play a DVD. And I'd be like, how? What hooks up? What's the input? Stuff that you can figure out, but it's like, all right, I'm here in 30 seconds, students are coming in. They're gonna start stabbing each other if I don't entertain them immediately, and I gotta figure out which remote. There's 4 remotes that go to nothing. They don't work. Oh, that's cool. Just put the DVD in the computer, you say, and then, oh, the projector, it's set up for that, blam. Oh, except I can't log into the computer. I don't have a login. And I subbed at 3 districts. At only 1 district could I actually log into a computer, and only then, after I'd done it for a while, oh, there's a sub credential to log in. I didn't know that. No one told me that. Basically, subbing is like putting together knockoff IKEA furniture with instructions written by a Chinese moron who's like translating it with Google Translate. Put the leg into the what? And you're like, that's a leg? That's not a leg. What are you, the projector? Oh, we got a movie going. And then the projector's like, oh, time to change the bulb. And it just turns off or something. It's like, okay. What happens if the internet's down? And the only thing you left for me was students are doing their work on the internet. And now the internet's down. Now what do I do? Oh, here's a fun one. You get a printed sheet, a piece of paper, and it says, go to this link. And the link is like 400 characters long, like ampersands and question mark. It's like the longest goddamn URL in the world. And you're like, oh, I guess I have to type this in. And you type it in, and then it's just like, oh no, your access denied. You have to be logged in for this shit. It's like, oh my God. Quote, one of your students asked me if I like penis. The students all proceeded to reference Jeffrey Dahmer and talk about chopping up dead, naked bodies during the entire class period and dancing around while shouting, look at my nuts. I had a first grader today who spent the entire period saying things like, pee in my mouth. Anybody got a name for this one? We are tentatively naming him Watson for Justin Watson of the Chiefs. He is available for adoption at Lucky 13 Rescue, and he's sitting on my tie.
Piano wire, knives, artillery, landmines, bayonets, helicopter rappelling, smoke jumping, parachuting, karate, missiles.
Oh, God, that's better. Great editing, too. Who was the editor?